On behalf of the Professional Baseball Strength and Conditioning Coaches Society, I'd like to welcome you to the PBSCCS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Messina. All right, everybody, today's episode of the podcast is going to be another group episode. I'm going to have the guys introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it. So we'll go Ben first, Jordan second, just name, org, position in the org, and then we'll get going, guys.
Hey, guys, I'm Ben Chadwick. I'm the AAA strength and conditioning coach for the Boston Red Sox in Worcester, and this is my 8th season with the team.
Hey, I'm Jordan Fiske. I'm the assistant strength coach with the Red Sox, their AAA organization in Worcester, and this is my first season with them.
Guys, so the point of today's episode is to discuss your relationship in AAA. I would assume the listeners in professional baseball know, maybe they don't, people that are outside. So Boston Red Sox, we've added assistant strength and conditioning coaches at every affiliate this year. To kind of help manage the workload for our head guys and give extra care to our players. Again, this is the first year we're doing it. I would imagine it's going well, but that's going to be kind of the point of this talk today. So before we get into like day-to-day stuff, let's go over just first maybe Ben and myself on how we as an organization got here, what we were looking for in candidates, and then Jordan, kind of your path to professional baseball, why you chose professional baseball, and then ultimately what ended up linking you and Ben together for AAA this season. So Ben, just first, having been in the minor leagues the past few years with the org, kind of talk about like where the need was for an assistant, how it came about, and then we'll go from there.
So I think personally, being here for 8 years and kind of seeing where strength and conditioning has gone in baseball, I think it's a much different environment and job than it was a decade ago. I think, originally strength and conditioning wasn't a big thing in professional baseball, and it's really grown and taken off a lot. And it used to kind of be elementary, like really basic, just strength and conditioning stuff. And, being here for 8 years, you kind of get things added to your plate every year, and you don't realize how much they've really added to your job and your workload, and you get really efficient at doing so many different things that you don't actually realize how much you're doing. And the running joke is that you're not really a strength and conditioning coach only. You're also a nutritionist, you're a mental skills guy, you're a sports scientist, you're partially doing rehab no matter what. So you have to wear a lot of different hats throughout the day, and responsibilities grow and grow and grow. And eventually there's only so much time in the day, and you come up with these ideas for things you want to do. But at the end of the day, you only have so much time as one person. So if you can free yourself up, like it gives you the ability to do a lot more if there's two of you than one, obviously. So I almost think when you can collaborate and free up time, like 1 + 1 can almost equal 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And in the big leagues, you have an assistant, or a large majority of the organizations in professional baseball have an assistant. So it feels like you'd be able to run it more like the big leagues. Obviously, the resources are not the same, and the level of baseball is not the same, all of that. But in terms of the job of a strength and conditioning coach, like you said, in the minor leagues, it's always been like you do nutrition, you do mental skills, you do sports science, you do regular strength and conditioning, where in the big leagues, you have people that are assigned those specific jobs, right? So that you get to be more of just a strength and conditioning coach. And now that you have the assistant, I would assume you get to feel that way, right? Like you feel more like a strength and conditioning coach and less of like jack of all trades type of guy.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the strength and conditioning has gotten so much better. Just having two of us, the ability to put two people in one spot. But all the other stuff gets better too. Like my ability we actually have two nutritionists now, like my ability to help them and do other things. Like I actually have time to do it and focus on it than, be on be on the line running guys for conditioning while I'm taking a call from Panera because something happened to spread that day. Like, it's just much easier when there's two of you and one of you can free yourselves up so that the other can do something. It just makes everything run so much more smooth and efficient.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, like you said, even though we get to do more strength and conditioning and worry less about the other stuff, the players do still come to us with those questions. So like you said earlier, we've gotten really good in a lot of different areas. So we still have that knowledge in our back pocket that we can help players with. But at the same time, like the area of expertise that we have, like we're really able to maximize that. And then the better the strength and conditioning is, the better the results are, the more buy-in there is from players. And then they feel more comfortable with you coming to ask questions about other things, supplements, nutrition, mental skills stuff. And then either we're able to answer that or we're able to direct them to the appropriate person. So I'm happy for you guys. I'm glad it's going really well. And before we get into day-to-day stuff, like Jordan, let's talk about your path, because you're not a baseball guy by tradition, which I think it makes it more exciting for you that everything is brand new to you. But, kind of talk to me about your path to professional baseball, how you're enjoying your first year in professional baseball, and then we'll get into day-to-day stuff between the two of you.
Yeah, so my path here definitely was not traditional, considering I didn't start working baseball until 2018, 2019. I started off playing football at UMass Amherst before a neck injury kind of sidelined me. I immediately started interning there. I did an internship at University of Virginia. Once I graduated, I went to Tennessee for a year working with Craig Fitzgerald, one of the best strength coaches on the planet. After that, I went to Garden City Community College. That's where I started my baseball career. I started running their whole program with the football, everything, football, baseball, swim and dive, whatever they had, I was coaching. And then transitioned to University of New Mexico, where I took over their baseball program. After kind of leaving there, Ben reached out to my boss at the time, Jimmy Carson, and was looking for a guy, and I was trying to find a new route. So opportunity came about for me to, come home. I live an hour and a half down the road, so it was a no-brainer. I haven't lived in the same time zone as my family in so long, and this was a new experience. I've never really worked pro baseball, pro anything, so I thought this was a new route, new fun time to do it. So figured why not.
It's cool that you get to be close to home. You say an hour and a half driving. I don't know if that means with or without traffic in Massachusetts, but
oh, that's without traffic. Luckily, no one heads that way, so there's never really traffic.
I got you.
He lives west. There's no traffic.
Yeah, I head towards the Cultured Hill folk.
Got you. We got a lot of traffic on the other side of the state. So,
well, you guys got all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Trees and bears.
No, it's awesome that you're getting to experience not just baseball at a high level, but professional sports. And for you jump right into AAA. So it's kind of a good blend, at least for me, how you'd get to see some of the older guys go about their business, but some of the younger guys moving up also, while having Ben to kind of help guide you instead of just being first year in pro ball, completely new to it, being in AAA, dealing with, guys going up and down to the big leagues, big league rehabs, all that. It seems like that would be a good way to get exposure without being like overloaded with everything. Like you get thrown into the fire, but you have somebody holding your hand in the fire as well. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's pretty cool for you. And I would assume you've enjoyed your time so far. Yeah.
Yeah, during spring training, it took me a little while to adjust because I didn't really know the guys I was working with, because the vast majority of them were big league camp. I was working with the minor league guys. But once I got, to Worcester and figured out who my guys were, I started getting very, very into the games. Ben actually was laughing at me the fourth or fifth game. He just kind of looked at the guys around him. He's like, he's a baseball guy now. I think Frenchie sent a rocket over right field, and I lost my mind.
You're getting sucked in, man.
Oh, 100%.
So Ben, what were you looking for in an assistant? Maybe to paint a picture here, in spring training, we had our group of assistants there. We kind of had a general idea of who might go where. just watching them work in minor league camp. We had a couple of the guys come over to big league camp a few days and see how they interacted with some of the older guys. Like, what were you looking for before we started, and then as we got going and you saw the guys working on the floor and with the players, like what were your thoughts then?
So I think for me, I feel like AAA is a more unique level than any of the other levels in minors. And I kind of felt for my assistant, there were two major things I needed to be able to be comfortable. And I felt like one, just because the guys are older, managing a lot of different personalities, a lot of guys with big league time, I felt like having tougher skin and being a big presence, and Jordan being a 305-pound power lifter that can lift every single plate we have in the weight room behind him. He kind of fit that bill, and he carries a lot of respect just with who he is and how he walks around. So that was a major checkbox for me. And the other thing I wanted was somebody that had a little bit of experience running things on their own, and someone that was ready to basically run things without me if they ever had to, and basically do all the day-to-day things that I did last year, and they wouldn't burn the place down, so that I could also still do those things this year. But whenever something specialized came up, like working with rehab players, whether it's our own or big league guys coming down, or the org's putting a lot of stock into skill acquisition and all the new stuff, all the new ways that baseball's going, things like that, special projects that require specialty, I wanted to be able to be free to handle those things as they come, and then just synergize off each other for the day-to-day stuff to make that stuff even better. So those were my two big targets.
Yeah, that's a valid point, especially that second one there, just being able to be independent. I think for me, being in the big leagues as the assistant for Kiyoshi, like my ultimate goal is if he walks out of the room and he's got something going on, like I can run the show efficiently without, like you said, without burning the place down, without anybody getting hurt, without things missing or going through the cracks. Like, guys still need to be able to get their work in if he walks away and I'm the only guy there. And then when he comes back, like you said, it just makes us better that we're both there, that we can split duties. But being the head guy, he has things that take him away sometimes, whether it be front office or, like you said, specialized projects, or, he's got a Zoom here with this. Like, I think as an assistant, whether it's in the big leagues or in the minor leagues with us, or in the future, another organization, you have to be able to step up, run the show, be in charge, without the head guy worrying, like, and I don't know if I can leave this guy alone, you know what I mean? So I would agree with you, watching, our assistants and seeing how they worked. Like Jordan, just by himself being the guy he is, the size he is, like, carries a lot of respect to begin with. And then, being a football guy, like, he's not afraid to be loud, be vocal, put guys in their place. So I could see that also, like, just making sense for him to be in AAA, and I'm glad it's working out for the two of you guys. So let's get into that. Like, let's talk about the day-to-day, like who's covering stretch, who's covering the weight room, like how are you divvying up your duties, and like making it run smoothly for you guys?
So originally for me, I mean, I had an assistant when I was in the complex, but having one at an affiliate's a completely different and new kind of untouched territory. And I felt like at the beginning, back in April, I was always putting myself in the spot where it was most specialized, most needed, kind of what I was building off my last answer. And like when there were a ton of guys in the weight room, I would be there. And when conditioning would happen, conditioning in AAA, I think, is kind of an art, getting some of those guys to run. So I'd always put myself outside for that. And throughout the day, I just always, I was learning to trust Jordan, trust someone else. And like, it was a little hard for me those first couple of weeks, but I think as we've gone, I've been pretty blessed with Jordan and how he's adapted to baseball, how he's learned the game, how he fits in with the guys, how much they like him, respect him, his ability to run the weight room, that his competency being so high has allowed me to really kind of go a different route with the position than I originally intended. And I think now I'm at a point where I still try to put myself in the most specialized places, but at the same time, I try to rotate ourselves. So 1 or 2 times a week, I have Jordan go outside, do the conditioning, or we rotate the weight room, or we rotate different responsibilities. So at the end of the day, there's no silos. He's developing more. He's learning more parts of the job, and he's able to do all those things without failing. And it's been working really well. And we've kind of created systems as we've gone. We have this little master sheet that we work off, and one side is basically, we call it like our Da Vinci Code. It's like a shorthand master sheet that we log everything on. And one side basically just has every player, what their schedule is, what they're doing for conditioning that day, how much they lifted that day, whatever the guys' plans are, like everything can be found on this one side. And on the reverse side, we have this long checklist of basically daily duties, weekly duties, Jordan duties, monthly duties, and we have flags set up so that essentially nothing is getting by us. And we've just become this well-oiled machine that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm the head guy, he's the assistant, like we're both able to do all the jobs. Like a lot of the administrative stuff I'm still taking on, but like it doesn't matter if he sets up the supplement table or I do. It doesn't matter if he cleans the weight room or I do. It doesn't matter who's out at stretch. Like we're able to get everything done at a really high level. And at the same time, like it's created a better product for the guys, because like you said, we're not running around with our heads cut off, being outside for conditioning while guys are in the weight room and trying to be in 2 places at once. Like you always have the coverage to do all the things you want to do.
Jordan, for you being new to baseball, like what part do you like the best or the least? Maybe you don't want to answer that and get in trouble, but like, is there something that you feel like you gravitate towards that you're like, no, Ben, I got this? Or is it just like, hey, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it type of deal?
Kind of both. Like whenever I'm a good soldier. When Ben kind of wants me to point direction, I just kind of take care of what he needs me to do so he can focus on, Ben's got more experience with baseball specific, like the minute, like rehab things. So when, guys come in a little banged up or want to work on something specific, he'll take care of that. I'll worry about, if we have a lot of guys in the weight room, but that guy comes in and, Ben needs to focus on him. I worry about, the vast majority of the herd. But when we're actually training, like I really gravitate towards the lifting movements themselves, just because that's my favorite part of the day. Like being able to coach, being able to look at how guys are moving with each, RDL, squat, row, so on and so on. Those are what I really enjoy. The thing I probably like the least is the fact that no one's put, 500 pounds on their back and squatted for a couple reps yet.
That's what you're there for. You can do that.
Everyone expects me to do it. I'm kind of I was waiting for, someone to catch me off guard, but no, the guys do get after it. It's a lot of fun. Like, we play, experiencing going from, football where you only play, 12 games, 15 at the most, once a week. Guys get banged up. They have the week to kind of recover and everything. Then you get to baseball, and we got to 96 games left, and Ben looked at me, he's like, have you even seen 96 college football games? And I had to think about it. I was like, including my playing time, maybe. So it's a lot different kind of watching guys train during the season now, because every day is game day. You can't really redline it, because sometimes guys get days off, but they still can't redline it or do anything over the top, because they're going to play again the next day, even because we have guys that play basically every day. So guys, training and experience has been a little different watching.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people, I've said it many times on the podcast, like I wish everybody could coach in professional baseball as a strength and conditioning coach, just because of how different it is. The schedule is different. You play every day, you travel all the time. You got guys playing regularly. Specifically for you in AAA, like there's guys that are big league depth. And so like sometimes they get a little bit of extra attention, but like they still have to train, right? They still have to take care of their bodies. They don't get that downtime like in football where, like you said, over the week, they can kind of recover, get prepared for the next game. It's like, all right, well, today's game day and then tomorrow's game day and then the next day is game day. So it creates kind of a different experience for the strength and conditioning coach. So I'm glad that you've kind of seen both sides of the spectrum, right? Like in the football, it's like, just go bigger, faster, stronger. Let's get after it. No nonsense. Here, like, guys do still get after it, but like in a smart way. Not that football's not smart, it is, but it's just different, and it's within the context of the game. So if I had to peg you for something, I figured it would be like, you love the weight room the most. Just seeing it during our brief time together in spring training. But at the same time, I do appreciate what you said, like just covering the vast majority of guys. Like when Kiyoshi takes rehab guys, it's kind of my responsibility to just cover the rest of the group and make sure things go smoothly. And if he doesn't have rehab guys, like we divvy it up a little more. And if he does, it's my responsibility to take that vast majority. So it sounds very similar to you guys in the sense that Ben has something going on, he covers that, and like it's your job to pick up the rest of the group. And sounds like you guys are working really well together.
Yeah, I think we've collaborated really well, and we really just bounce off each other. And I think we're at a point now where if I tested positive for COVID tomorrow, or I had a wedding or funeral or whatever it is, and I had to leave for a day, a week, whatever, from something outside happening, like I think Jordan could kind of run this place, and I really wouldn't be scared about it, which is kind of cool to say.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome for you guys that it's worked out so well, especially this being our first year doing this. You never know like how things are gonna go. So kind of along that like train of thought here, what advantages do you guys believe you've gained? Maybe Ben specifically from having somebody to help divvy up, and then Jordan, like, experiencing pro ball for the first time, having somebody who's been around for a long time, like being able to mentor you. Like, what advantages are you gaining from this just in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, so I kind of hit this earlier, but I think, when you're by yourself, your biggest limiter is time, and one person can only do so many things at the end of the day, and you can only do one thing at one time, really. So I think just having two people, like it lets you be in two places at once. It lets you do two things at once. Like it lets a lot less things slide through the cracks, because while one person does one thing, one person can go do another. And I feel like every strength coach in baseball probably has this thought when they're by themselves, like, I really wish I could do this extra thing for that guy, or this extra thing for this person. And at the end of the day, like, you run into the wall of only having so many hours, that I feel like getting that second person, like that idea tank of things you want to do, like, you can really dig so much deeper into that. And it's going to make two of you being there, just, it makes lifts better, it makes conditioning better, it makes nutrition better, it makes sports science better. It honestly keeps your mental health better. Like I joke that I actually have like an hour or two to myself in the mornings now that hasn't existed for me during baseball season since before I was in baseball. And at the end of the day, like, even like the way baseball's going with sports science and skill acquisition, like, a lot of teams collect data that they never use, and like we have the ability to start using things. And skill acquisition, like, we can start taking on projects and kind of start trying to push ideas different that way. Nutrition's better, food's better, timing's better. Just, I think at the end of the day, the players are getting a much better product, and I think that's the most important thing in all of this.
Jordan, how about for yourself?
So, working with Ben, who's been with the Red Sox for 8 years, right, Ben?
Uh-huh.
This is his realm, this is his world. And when I first got here, I was kind of, I was a little slight shell shocked just because I've never experienced pro baseball or this level of sport, period. So being able to have Ben, hey, how do I kind of handle this guy? Or, hey, what do you want me to do in this situation? It's been really nice, having, Ben, who, if you ask him for help, he's going to help you. He's not going to, figure it out on your own and walk off. Like Ben's been really awesome teaching me the whole nuances of pro baseball. Like the guys that we work with, each guy is different. Kind of, some guys don't like doing certain exercises, or some guys prefer doing certain things. So we've been able to, hey, do you want me to make this change? When we first started going, I pretty much asked him before I did anything, but as we've been going, I've learned more and more that I can, okay, this is how we do things. I'm going to make this adjustment. We're good to go. I don't have to keep bugging Ben. I can leave him off, working with so-and-so while, because they only have a certain amount of time, because they got to, get out to the field and work their stuff. So Ben has to focus on that guy instead of me, being the little brother. Hey, how do I do this? So it's been nice having Ben teach me these things.
And it's been cool. Like we've made, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna say we made we have like a Google Drive file that we share together, and we just come up with ideas through the year. Like we've made packing lists and snack and supplement order forms, and like I think the most important page is like the individualizations page, and we have every player we've had for the year, and we have notes on each guy and what their preferences are and what their needs are and what they need to do, so that when we make them cards, like it's not that standard minor league baseball. All right, all 26 people, whether you're a high school kid, a college kid, or Latin guy, whether you're young or old, like you're all just going to do this, and this is the program. Like the cards have become so much more individualized because we have the time and resources and the ability to collaborate and make cards individualized for the guys. That buy-in itself has just gone up so much because guys know it's not just this cookie cutter thing, and like a lot of time and energy and resources are going into getting them a product that's better for them. And like they have the ability to talk to us about like not liking something, or this exercise bothers them when they do that. And like, guys are really bought into what we're putting out now. Like I had a guy that was here last year and was like, yeah, last year, like I was kind of on the program, but like this year I'm seeing how much different my card is from that guy's, and like I'm all in. So at the end of the day, guys want something they know is for them, and it's very hard to do when you're by yourself and you're wearing 6 other hats. So like the ability to free yourself up and push the limits of what we're doing that much further really, really is paying off.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys just like if that's a big part of it. It's just the individualized programs in the strength and conditioning, maybe even like tailoring conditioning for guys when they've pitched a lot or they haven't pitched a lot, or they're hot, like giving them some options, like being able to talk with them, building better relationships with them, just because you have like somebody else to be able to help you take some of the stuff off your plate. And then kind of along those lines, like, do you guys feel like there are certain players that are like quote unquote yours, like this guy's kind of a Ben guy versus this guy's kind of a Jordan guy, or is it just like free flowing, whoever comes in, they grab their card? The thing is with the cards is like, because you're individualizing, like whether they're a Jordan guy or a Ben guy, like you just have to look at the card and say, oh, okay, this is what we want them to do. One of the two of us individualizes for him. But is there I ask because I see it sometimes, like at the big league level, like even watching other teams on the field, you can kind of see they gravitate towards one guy versus the other guy. Do you guys have anything like that, or is it just like, everybody kind of works with everybody?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I would say 95% of the group literally doesn't matter if Jordan takes them or I take them. It's whoever's closer to the cards when the guy comes in and needs to make a plan for what they're going to do that day. I can think of 1 or 2 that are closer to Jordan than they are with me. And at the end of the day, I have no ego. I think if they connect with Jordan better and they work harder with Jordan, like that's good for me. Like I don't take offense to them working with me less than him. And likewise, I have my guys that I think come in and gravitate to me. Maybe it's because I speak a good level of Spanish and Jordan doesn't really speak Spanish.
No.
Or maybe they're just a little closer to me in general. But at the end of the day, I think there's no egos. Most guys will work with either of us. But I do think we also do have guys that gravitate towards one or the other. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if a guy's coming in and getting what he needs.
Yeah, I would say like kudos to you, Jordan. It's because you're new to professional baseball, you're new to the org, and Ben's been around. He's had some of these guys probably for a long time. Like, I was just curious if they shy away, they're like, this guy's a football guy, or like, to be honest, all the guys that come up are like, dude, Jordan's the man. Like, he's just a beast. Like, he's awesome to work with. So I just need to give you kudos of like, hey, you've come into a new environment, a new sport, and like you've just made yourself right at home, and like guys are very comfortable with you. And it, again, being able to have somebody that the players can go to, and they don't feel uncomfortable like working with you, that makes Ben's job easier, and that makes Ben a better coach. So kudos to you for just coming in and just, I mean, being yourself, and and just, you know, embracing baseball and embracing the guys and embracing our program and the training. And you know, it's cool to see you guys working together. And then kind of along those lines, like, do you feel like this is like a mentor-mentee type of relationship? Is there extra like continuing education going on between you two, or is it just because you're in a new environment, Jordan, you're already learning so much, like you feel like there might be overload if there's other stuff on the outside too that you're trying to learn?
So it's a mixture of both. I do ask Ben a lot of questions. Like, he does some movement screening stuff that I've never seen before, that as we go, I'll kind of pick his brain about. But because the schedule, when we start, we have a steady stream of guys coming in throughout the entire time. So there's not a true time to, set an hour or two aside so he can explain to me the whole process. But as we're going, I'm kind of picking his brain, getting a little bit more and more each. I'm not drinking straight from the garden hose. I'm taking a cup and just kind of hydrating as we go, as opposed to drowning. But because I'm brand new to this sport for the most part. Every day I'm learning a little bit more, whether it's in the weight room, conditioning, throwing motions, like mechanics, what guys we need to stay away from just because, hey, their shoulders are pretty beat up just because of the nature of the sport. Even the game itself, we'll be outside and I'll catch something that I never noticed before, and I'll look at Ben and be like, is that normal? And he's like, yeah, we've done that. That's happened many times. You're just now catching it. Oh, all right.
The first time we played extra innings and I saw a guy run out to second base,
he stared at
Sanchez, and I just stared at him until he realized what was going on, and just witnessed him freak out and wonder how the hell he got there. And it was a treat to watch. But it's just little things like that, like explaining baseball to a football guy. That's been really fun along the way.
I knew you were going to bring that scenario up. I was waiting for it.
Ben, how about you? Like having somebody working, I don't want to say underneath you, but beside you, like in terms of being able to develop some leadership qualities, or just something that might help you in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, like my ultimate goal is getting to the big leagues somehow. And I think regardless of if in the future I end up a head guy or an assistant, like I think this has prepared me to kind of look at it from both angles, because I think the systems that we've created and the checks and balances and making sure nothing gets by, and skill sets that I'm able to develop further because Jordan's here, are extremely valuable. And at the end of the day, even if my next step is an assistant somewhere, like I think these systems and ability to collaborate are invaluable. And at the same time, if I'm a head guy, like now I have better experience at the more specialized jobs that you would, or the administrative roles that you would have if you're in a position like that. And the ability to just manage someone, collaborate, like synergize off each other, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, and building on that, like moving forward, do you see this, maybe this season specifically, as advantageous for both of you in terms of like Jordan maybe wanting to stay in baseball, and then obviously Ben, you talk about leadership stuff, and then maybe more specifically for Ben, like, do you see us in the future continuing to improve upon this assistant position at the minor league affiliates?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year was a trial run and the first year we've ever done it. So there's going to be a little bit of trial and error as you go. But I think, I've been really blessed that Jordan's been so good this year. And it's made things so much easier for me. But who knows, in future years, maybe I don't get an assistant who's as good of a fit if Jordan ends up going back to football or getting a full-time job with us or another team, or finds a better opportunity in his career and I got to find somebody else. Then I think a lot of the things we've done have laid the groundwork for future years, where we have our Da Vinci Code, we have our checks and balances sheet, we have our packing list, we have our individualization process, we have processes for a lot of things that will make, whenever I have my second, third, fourth assistant in the future, everything will streamline much easier because a lot of the groundwork has been laid for the future now.
Jordan, how about you? Has this experience changed your mind about being a football guy versus a baseball guy? Do you see yourself staying in baseball long term? Are you open to things?
I'm open to things right now. Like I there's definitely moments of, wow, I kind of miss football just because of certain aspects, mentalities. Like I'm a loud human being. I like to yell. I like to get after things. And baseball, I get to do that sometimes, but nowhere near as much as I typically would. Sometimes I stand out in the field. I'm just like, I kind of want to yell, but I'm not going to because I'm going to get stared at. But right now, I'm really enjoying the baseball world. Like for right now, my world is baseball. Like I'm staying here for a little while and trying to figure out where my next steps are. But giving this experience kind of broadens my horizons a little bit more. I have my football world, I have baseball. There's other routes that I could take, but right now I'm focused on, being the best assistant Ben has or will have, because I want to make it hard to replace me.
Does have big shoes.
Yeah, I was say the first group of assistants is setting the bar high. But guys, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate catching up with you guys. And obviously we've been in touch all year with guys moving up and down, and just being able to kind of dive in a little bit to your working dynamic and see that you guys are really getting along so well makes me very happy. And I think this decision by the organization to support us and kind of help us progress further along as strength and conditioning department, I think has been really awesome for us. And I'm hoping that it keeps progressing even further in the future. So appreciate you guys coming on. We'll be in touch probably by the end of the day today and every other day moving forward. But keep doing what you guys do and taking care of those players. And thanks for spending some time with me.
Appreciate you having us on, Ben.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, everybody, that's going to conclude this episode with Ben and Jordan. I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a little bit more of a look behind the scenes for the strength and conditioning staff of the Boston Red Sox. And obviously, like we talked about, the front office allowed us to add an assistant strength coach at every affiliate this year. And just kind of showing, what the improvements were based on the decision and how much more availability the strength coaches have, and how much better of a product the players are getting, with individualized programs and more time for, relationship building and communication and, better nutritional resources and all of that. So in terms of specific takeaways, I don't think that was the point of today. I think this was more of just a general picture of what it can look like when a front office supports strength and conditioning staff, and what happens when you get a quality assistant lined up with a really good head strength coach, wherever that may be, whether it's a professional baseball setting or not, and just how much better everything can be for the players and for the staff and just everybody involved. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, it was kind of a look behind the scenes and just kind of a small glimpse into what we do with the Boston Red Sox. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you again on the next one.